My name is James and I am from South Sudan. Growing up in South Sudan was very difficult because it was a time when our country was at war. And so I was born as a refugee, but they call that internally displaced person. We had this helicopters that would bring us food from the UN. And so my dad always told me that if you learn how to use the book and the pen, you wouldn't wake up hungry, and you one day will fly that metallic bird. That's how we put it. So that was the first time I put interest into school. When you think about going to school as a kid in a country that is affected by war, you don't have breakfast and you don't even have lunch, and so you always go to school hungry. Safety itself was a big concern for me. We went to school when you could hear airstrikes. So we were picked up by these government forces, and they were like, we are going to take you to safety. And we were so happy because we thought we were going to be protected. When we got to the station, we were forced to join the army. So it was like a forceful conscription. And so I decided to join this moving crowd to go to Uganda at the time. I didn't know that actually we're going to Uganda, but they were like, we're going to safety. There's food and education and water there. So those are the words that caught my attention. So it was a question of death and life. Forcibly displaced from the only home I knew, my friend and I walked to Uganda. We lost everything except for our lives and hoped we would one day go to school and become great peacemakers. I was called the boy who carried books because I was the only kid from our group that carried books instead of food or anything to the camp. I was literally moving from place to place with my books at the time. I was kind of obsessed with it. Here in my refugee community, I volunteer as an interpreter, hoping to join a United World College. And then one day we came across a credible article talking about a couple of South Sudanese refugees who had gotten scholarship to go to United World Colleges. And I was like, well, this sounds like me. And so I decided to apply from there. I had to write like handwritten application. The head of the Uganda National Committee at the time, he said, James, congratulations. You're going to Armenia on a full ride scholarship. It was this moment where I knew my life was going to change completely. I was happy and sad at the same time. I was getting farther and farther away from my mom. I didn't know where she was at the time, but I was very happy because not so many refugees get to go to school. I was almost graduating, and our university counselor, he said, James, there's this scholarship from the University of British Columbia in UBC as one of the top universities in the world. From my secondary school in Uganda, I wanted to go to high school. And from high school, I was going to go to university. And being able to like emerge from that sort of background and go to UBC, just something I was praying for. I wanted to come to UBC. Yeah, I've changed a lot, and that's because of education. From that moment my dad told me about it, I've created a sense of identity, and I feel very empowered, and I can, wake up and walk around in confidence because I am still going to school, and I am very hopeful about the future because of education.